Keeping cool in the aircon, Paul's off in the Iveco, plus trailer.
We're starting off, if we can get there in time, with a Rover 9. So up to Northumberland and then trundle back down to South Shields for an MG-B and a Jaguar C-Type, which of course will be a replica, but they're still a tasty thing, aren't they? So we'll be flop later on. We'll have a good load on and we'll be home for bedtime.
Paul's first pit stop will be to retired motor dealer Robert Coulson. He's sending a rare 1924 Rover 9 to the auction.
It's been in the family since 1958, when it was all dismantled and lying forgotten, really. And then my father came along and built it up. It took about 2 or 3 years to actually reach this stage anyway. So it was more as a showroom attraction because we had a Rover franchise. Well, I loved it. I mean, the kids loved it, especially. The first thing they did was climb on the running board and try and get in the car and pretend they were steering it and that. So, yeah, it was a great attraction.
Hello.
Hello, Paul Matthewson. How are you? Okay?
Fine, thanks. You?
Yeah, we're all right. We've just nicely come through the Tyne Tunnel, so we're doing well. Satellite here says we'll be with you at 1:31.
1:31, right, okay, that's fine. It's got about 6,000 miles on it, that's all.
How many owners has it had?
One, just a one owner. And I think it was some professional who lived in about 5 miles from here. So, yeah.
So it spent the whole life in the northeast?
The whole life in the northeast, that's right, never been very far. And it's a 9 horsepower, so it claims actually in the brochure, I've got the original brochure for it, and it claims in there that you get 45 miles to the gallon. The car new, I can tell you that, was 184 pounds. And it's got electric starter on, which was an extra, and that was £12 extra for that. Well, one door, passenger side, and you've got to slide across to the driver's side. I presume this was for the lady to sit here, so you didn't have to slide across there. So all it is you move that forward, and that hinges back, and then you can climb through into the back seat. It's like sitting in a big pram, really. you know, and it kind of bounces, and you feel every shock on the road. I mean, the tyres, the profile on them quite narrow, and you know, if you hit a pothole, it judders the whole car. But it's and it's noisy, obviously, because there's no windows on the side. At least it's got a windscreen with no wipers on it, but so you got to put your hand low and wipe it off, I think. It'd be sad to see it go, I'm afraid, but I think it's the right thing to do. It's just hidden away from everyone, so hopefully someone will buy it and put it on display somewhere, and they can enjoy it.
Oh, look at that. That's ideal, isn't it?
As per usual, the forward planning unit has worked its magic, and Paul's hoping for a quick turnaround.
I knew this was a bad idea coming in here. We ain't going to get round here, mate. Oh, that's a long time. That's been stood there a long time, that hood, hasn't it? Just appears to be very, very brittle. So I'm going to ask Robert if I can drop it down in a minute. It had to be a non-runner, didn't it? With no lock. Are we going to make it, John?
Stop.
She's a nice, elegant little car, though. And she's on. So how long since it was last run then, Rod?
Oh, well, on the road?
Yes.
Must be at least probably 10 years ago.
Right, yeah.
And I drove it up, we had a showroom down the road, and I drove it up from there.
Yes.
I got the magnificent speed of 20, I think it was 22 miles an hour. The speed was accurate.
And that was downhill, was it?
That was downhill with a tailwind.
I had a back window blowout of one years ago, and I vowed then never again.
The seller sets the reserve, and Robert's a realist.
I would think about 6, something like that.
Right. Are we writing that down, are we?
Yeah, does that sound reasonable?
It does, yeah. Yeah, it does, yeah.
I mean, it's, you know.
That figure he's just written on that sheet there is, in my opinion, a very realistic figure. And if he didn't do that sort of money, then I suspect he'd probably like to have the car back. And I don't blame him. But they are not doing the money that they once were. Far from it. So consequently, where will that go? Well, I know where it should go. It should go into a museum, shouldn't it? Because they're too old for the road, aren't they? They're too old to be used properly. Different in this sort of situation. Look, it's a lovely little village, look. You could go down to that little baker's there, couldn't you? And back. It's far enough, isn't it? It's far enough.
Let's hope it gets a good home anyway. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Paul's latest collection, the Rover 9, the Jaguar C-Type and the modified MGB GT are back and awaiting the laying on of hands. Derek's immediately drawn to the golden oldie.
Here we have
A Rover 9.
a Rover 9.
You wanted this girl to come in, didn't you?
I did because I just still love this style of car, this age of car. I just love it. It's got so much character. And look at this, look. We got some motorbikes now have tyres twice the width of that, don't they? It's only a little Rover 9, so it'll struggle to pull a clucking end off a nest, I can assure you. It won't be bristling with power. But this is what I like. The scuttle-mounted fuel tank is simple. Got no fuel pump, can't go wrong, gravity fed. Unless gravity goes wrong and someone changes it and it goes the other way, you can't go wrong, can you? Honeycomb, all lovely, lovely condition. Look at the little lights, darling little lights. She's a strange little engine, you know, isn't she? Because she's got to be overhead valve, hasn't she?
Derek, for such a small engine, there's a lot of walking about from side to side.
I'll be honest, John, I can't quite work it out. I'll have to look into this. Because I would expect to have taken that cover off and underneath there would be a row of plugs. But they're not. There they are. So, side valve, boom, 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 plugs up top. Overhead valve, plugs down here. You know, at this era, performance cars had the speedo this side and the rev counter the other. Because really, the driver wasn't the least bit interested in the speeding. He couldn't get really fast enough to worry about it anyway, so not a lot of point. And the passenger here has got in his full view on the dashboard the speedo and the mileometer and whatever. So he'd probably be sitting there thinking, wow, do you know we're doing 40? And the driver don't give a monkeys, does he? You know what he's doing, he's just away. But such a tremendously limited market. Really seriously limited now.